Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Santa's Switch Adapted Toys. We're going to be working on a couple of sewing machine pedals. And for this, I got my tester here. Cable I've made up, I've turned it from a stereo cable into a mono cable. I'll link down below how to do that. Stereo cables have 3 wires and 3 points on the plug, tip, ring, sleeve, and only 2 of these are needed for a switch adapted toy. So what you do is you combine so that the tip is standalone, and this particular cable, they're not all the same. The tip is red and either the ring or the sleeve is yellow or white. So you combine those and you end up with a mono cable, which effectively combines those and this, and it makes it work. So onto the project here. So for this, I've got the cables I've made up. I've got a couple of little fillers I'm going to be using, and these are sewing machine switches. And you can get them on Amazon. They usually come in a pack of 2. Spring-loaded, and I'm going to do 2 different styles of how to do this. So we'll get right into it here. We're going to open this up. There's a screw in the bottom which holds the hinge pin in place. Pinch it a bit, push the hinge pin out, set that to the side. When this clamshell opens up, there's a spring going to fall out. Okay, and there's the switch. So we'll set the lid to the side. We're going to do both of these at the same time. So let's just go ahead and get them. But we're going to do them at the same time, but we're going to do them differently. And I'm going to show you the why and explain that as we go along here. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of this pigtail cable that come with it. Let's see, to get that. We release these 2 screws and this one, and then we can slide that whole switch assembly out of there. Almost. Let's see. Yeah, okay, here we go. Slide the switch assembly out, and I'm going to put this into my 3rd hand here, and we need to get rid of all this wire. So, but on this one we need this switch. So we're just going to heat up the solder that's on there, pull the wires off, and let's see, I can't see what I'm doing underneath there. Alright, so we're heating up the solder so we can get that wire off of there. Yeah, come on. Alright, here we go. And that becomes trash. I mean, if you have recycling in your area, you could strip that down and have the copper out of it and use it. So on this switch, we're going to go ahead and make this up. Move a few things out of the way, push this through the hole. I have taken, this is just off at the end of this cable here, and I cut a slot in it. I split it so that it would go over the cable better. Kind of molded inside where it was around the previous wires, so there is that to deal with. Okay, get that. That might be best just to slip on when we're all done. All right, anyway, we're going to tie a knot into the strain relief. That prevents it from being pulled out of the case. It does not need to be very long. Yeah, we're gonna put this on in a moment. The bottom one and the first one you see here are the ones that this needs to be soldered to. So No reason to even take this out of the third hand. We want to just go ahead and solder that right to it. Okay. I think I'm going to use my tweezers here to hold that in place. Actually, no, that's okay. Alright, so I got the tweezers there holding the wire down. Got some solder on it. Heated it up. And the wire's now down. So we can confirm that this is adapted. Put it into the tester. One of these is tipped, the other one is, one of these is sleeve and the other one is ring, but if we push the switch button and they both light up, then we know we've made a mono cable and we've got it adapted. So now we'll put this back on here, feed the wire below the clip, the retainer clip, get that wound in there, tighten that back down, put the switch back together, tighten those two screws back down, double check that we didn't lose anything on the connection. We're good to go. This spring is, I'm going to leave this off because I want to demonstrate on the next one. Okay, so we're set that to the side. Now we're going to adapt this other one. The other one is going to be adapted differently. We're not going to use the switch. Instead, after we take the wiring off, loosen all the screws up so we can get this out of here to work with it, because we want to get rid of these wires also that were on there. Just heating heating the solder up that's on the switch. A little tension to each wire. Let's see, can I get that solder in there? Okay, that becomes garbage or recycle if you want to pull the copper out of it. Now, we're not going to use any of these contacts because on this one we're actually going to destroy the switch, not use this. We're going to install one of these. This is a little button switch. You've probably seen these in some of the toys. It's essentially the same thing as used in almost all adaptive, dome style adaptive switches. And we're going to take this and bend these, we got 4 prongs on it. We're going to bend 2 of those prongs back so that it can kind of set flat. Leave 2 of those prongs out. And we're going to super glue that to the side of this, or to the top of this. Before we do that, we need to disable this this function. And the reason we're disabling it is because it makes noise. If you are in a situation where you're trying to use a switch and it is noisy, it makes the clicking sound, and it starts to interfere with your applications. I've had some issues where they actually are picked up by microphones, and that noise interferes with the application and the user. So we're going to disable it. Now we've I put some solder onto that. This no longer sticks up. It's all messed up. The switch is no longer functioning. We're going to take a drop of super glue. I always get super glue on my fingers, so I'm going to try not to this time. This will be interesting if it works. Let's see, unheat. What did I do? My super glue's not coming out. Okay. Let's try it now. Okay, I've just put a small amount on there, and I want this to stick on the top. Now, it takes a moment for that. Okay, it's starting to go there. It takes a moment for it to stick, but when it does, it's good. Okay, let's get the wires into place. There again, we're going to slide this through the hole. Tie a knot in it for strain relief. And that's now super glued in place. And we're going to use these two prongs right here. We've got this one and this one. And that's what we're going to attach these wires to. So let's get the wires up here. I should have explained more why we're doing this. It really has to do with the fact that the sewing machine switch, factory switch, is noisy. That should have been the first part of my video, I suppose. Let's see if we've got that. Okay, and we're going to make it quiet. We're going to make the sewing machine switch quiet. You can buy these little tiny switches in bulk. 100 of them for like $6. I think 120 of them for $6 right now on Amazon. Okay, so now that we've got that assembled, let's check it. Here's my tester, and it works just fine. I'm going to do, where's my other little, here it is. I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison of the noises or the sounds that these make. But let me get this back together. Okay, let's see. That over the top of the sheathing. Pull it out toward the knot. Okay, tighten up the one screw. This goes in. Seat that. Tighten up the other screw. The two screws that hold the switch in place. And double check our work. Okay, so there's a difference. There's a big difference. This switch clicks every time when you push it down and when you release it. This switch makes almost no noise. Push it down and release it. It's very, very quiet. So that's how we adapt these. This is an option which I don't normally offer, but I've had requests for how to do it. How do you make it quiet? And that's a very reasonable option that comes up. So to put these back together, it's simply insert the hinge I find it's easier to assemble if it's upside down. Got this, set the spring on it, turn this over and line it up. And put the hinge pin back in. Okay. So here's the noise. Okay. Alright, I hope you find this useful. If you have any questions, please put them down into the comments. If you like my videos, please subscribe. You'll get notifications when they come out. Put a like down there so that we know that they're being utilized. And thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Switch Adapted Toys saying bye.